Welcome to the Principal's Office Podcast. The University of Maryland's postdoctoral graduates will dive into the real challenges principals face and the strategies they use to keep great teachers in the classroom. Let's explore solutions, ignite new ideas, and make a lasting impact, because great teachers are supported by great principals and district leaders. Please welcome our hosts, Dr. Megan Ashworth and Dr. Nathaniel Laney.
Today, let me introduce myself. I'm Dr. Nathaniel Laney, former principal in Prince George's County, along with my co-host,
Dr. Megan Ashworth, the principal from Barack Obama Elementary.
Okay. And on the program today, we have Dr. Andrea McCall, who's principal of Indian Queen Elementary, and Mr. David Brown, principal of Hillcrest Heights Elementary. Would you guys like to say a couple of things about yourself?
I am Andrea McCall, and I am the principal of Indian Queen Elementary in Prince George's County. And this is my 30th year in Prince George's County and finishing my 14th year as a principal.
So good afternoon. My name is David Brown. I'm the proud principal of Hillcrest Heights Elementary. This is year 19 in the county, and this is my 6th year as a principal.
Excellent. So today we're diving deep into a critical issue facing education today: teacher attrition and retention. We have a series of insightful questions to explore with you, and we're eager to unpack the factors at play and the solutions that can help keep educators in the classroom.
Okay, I'll start off with the first question. As a leader, what is your role or responsibility in helping to retain effective teachers in your school and/or school district?
I'll start. I think what I've done is create an atmosphere of trust, transparency, and authenticity. And what I mean by authenticity is that what I learn, I translate over to the staff, and we grapple through things together. And it's not necessarily a hierarchy where I'm the principal and you do what I say. It's more of a flat line where we all work together and we come up with innovative strategies and solutions to impact our student population.
Okay.
So I guess from my perspective, as the leader of a school building, I think the primary role of the administrator and the team that supports them is to retain effective educators, and then most importantly, to develop and shape the progression of those novice and emerging educators within your school setting. It's a multifaceted approach where you focus really on providing professional development, really focusing on job satisfaction, and then allowing educators to walk in what they perceive to be their purpose and their why for serving children. And then it trickles down to the simplest things of an open door policy, constantly stopping to talk to both children and teachers, and making sure that you're visible not only for the disciplinary concerns and the parental concerns, but for the celebrations of scholars, the instruction of scholars, and this is the shaping of the entire space. All of those things play an essential role in the retention of educators.
Can I ask a question just to expand? Do any of you feel like you also have a responsibility or a linkage to teacher retention for the school district?
Yes, I believe for the school district, we do have that responsibility, and that is a reciprocal thing, I guess, because you have people who may leave your particular building and go to another particular building, but it's not always for a negative reason. So we have individuals who move because they got married, or and they bought a house in a different location. that they need to move to, or they're moving back in with family to take care of parents, or just different life situations. So just keeping those connections helps retain individuals in not just your school, but in the broader community.
Mhm.
And I will wholeheartedly agree. I believe that locally we are the closest face or representation of Prince George's County that most stakeholders will see. And it's our role to make sure that we support all of those who who choose to identify education as their career. And I think that a lot of times we look at, like Dr. McCall was saying, it's not necessarily about whether a teacher transfers from one school to the other, but more importantly that we retain them within Prince George's County as a whole. Understanding that there are spurious factors that can lead to the migration, if you will, of the staff that make up the educating body of Prince George's County. But I think it is our job to put our best foot forward and ensure that all of the staff that enter our building, worst case scenario, if they don't choose to continue to choose our schools respectively, that they continue to choose Prince George's County schools first and foremost.
Mhm. And I know, Dr. McCall, you just mentioned the word trust. How do you build trust between your teachers and your administrative team?
I'm sorry. I think having the mutual respect is how you build trust. So as the previous question asked, it's almost a flat line where we're on that line together, and they see me entrenched in the work, and I see them entrenched in the work, and then we determine what that looks like for our school on an even level. So I am able to create that trust because they see the authenticity, the transparency, and my love for the students, as well as my love for them, and how I mete out, if it's discipline, if it's praise, whatever it is, it's fair and consistent across the board. And I think that is what they are seeing, and that's what builds the trust. And so going back to what the last question, when you asked about um, keeping individuals of teacher retention in Prince George's County, I have individuals who have left me but still look out for me. He still refer, oh, do you have a vacancy here? And refer their friends and refer their family members specifically to our school, because they know that at Indian Queen, everything is going to be on and up and up. And I'm going to support you as far as you will let me, but I'm going to support the entire staff in the exact same way.
Mhm. Dr. Brown?
I guess kind of along those those same lines, understanding that you are uniquely who you are, and each principal possesses specific gifts. And it's about making sure that you share those talents with those individuals in your building so that they can see the progression of the work that what shaped you and led you to the seat that you sit in. And then also providing opportunities for upward mobility. Like here at Hillcrest Heights, we often talk about leading from where you are, with the understanding that in order for whatever your aspirations are, you will often have to fulfill those requirements prior to earning that position. So it's really about finding avenues and opportunities for people to present their best selves, and whether it be in front of children or staff. And it is also about the partnerships that are really organic within clusters and the conversations that we have with fellow principals when there may be a reduction in force, or I'm looking for a candidate that is specifically for mathematics. And Dr. McCall has interviewed somebody, but that's not a vacancy that she has. But hey, this is a really good talent. Um, I really think that you should interview them. So it is the partnership between principals that really allows us thrive because there's a myriad of applicants and there's only so much time in the day. And there's only so much time freed up for interviewing. And as you all know, it is truly a mad dash in that interviewing window. It's very short. So how do we collaborate at that mid-level management uh, frame to kind of support each other so that we all get essentially or procure what we need to make all of our schools successful?
Mhm.
Okay, so this may be building off of what you just said. What initiatives have you put in place to improve teacher retention in your school or school district? What have you put in place?
One thing that I have put in place are allowing the teachers to form their own relationships. And instead of me saying, you're a new teacher or you're new to the school and this is the mentoring program that we have, and this is how things work here. I look for ways to allow them to have the autonomy to figure out where they fit. And I think that gets people to stay is because they can find themselves in the school, and I'm not making them find themselves in the school, if that makes sense. They determine who they want to be their mentor just by having conversations of who they can ask and who they feel most comfortable with. And it may not be the department chair or one of the leaders. It could be someone that they just naturally gel with. So I make sure that I provide those opportunities for them to be authentic in who they choose to be their mentors. Another thing that I do is I look for ways to reduce their stress.
Mhm.
So some days if I notice that a teacher is overwhelmed or looking, just by the expression on their face or whatever, I will, if I can't do it, I will say, hey, to the counselor or to the ILT or even the secretary, go out and give her a 15-minute break. Just do her recess for her. Let her just go in her room and take a minute to decompress, do her recess for her, or just pick up the kids from specials and allow her, an extra 5 minutes to use the bathroom or to make copies or whatever it is. So I look for ways like that to reduce their stress, even if it's saying, don't do dismissal today, just go ahead and go home. If I know someone has had a challenging day or, with the kid or a parent or just with life in general. So just looking for ways to reduce their stress and to give them the authenticity and the freedom and choice to find their niche inside the school.
I mean, I think additionally, the reality is that so many of our novice educators, some of them are career changers, and additionally, they may be very fresh out of school. So I think one very important component to retention is professional development that is realistic, that focuses on the things that you feel that your team or cohort needs to improve on, but providing them with opportunities to provide input on what they feel they need as a next step to grow their capacity to lead the children that they are in front of each and every day. And then being adjusting and respecting individuals' time. Understanding that some professional development has to take place during the day, while they're providing workshop opportunities in the afternoon as well. And I also think a big piece with the retention is we regularly use surveys via Google Forms to check the pulse of the staff. As a part of that transparency, the first initial few forms they may not be as honest, but the more that they things and then being vocal about the moves that you're making within your building creates or constructs a system of being supported and being valued and being important And those things are all essential to the retention of staff, meeting them where they are, and then also providing them with an opportunity to, if you will, take the things that you feel that you need from this professional development to grow your capacity, and then viewing and observing other teachers in the building that specialize in one of those specific domains, whether it be classroom management, right, or whether it's engaging students in questioning and discussion, but you leveraging the talents and the gifts that you have in your building in terms of human capital to grow the abilities of those who are novice and newly entering into the profession, growing their capacity on a local scale and partnering them with strong performing educators within your building are all, I think, great initiatives to retain staff.
Wow. So you guys have me having flashbacks, what it's like to be a new teacher or novice teacher, if we want to use that word. And you do need support. Support is everything. You do need encouragement. You do need people you can connect with to say, hey, you might want to try this. So I'm going to ask the next question. Am I the next one? No, I think Megan, you're.
So what strategies have been most effective in retaining highly qualified teachers? I talked to a teacher today who transferred this year to Barack Obama from another school within the district. And I asked her today, I said, so why did you choose Barack Obama? You had a whole list of schools to choose from. And she said, that video you sent me of Teacher Appreciation Week and celebrating your teachers really meant a lot to me. And after being here for a year, it wasn't just a video. Like I could see that that's what we live each and every day here. So thinking about that small thing that I did to send her a teacher appreciation video made such a difference with her. So what strategies do each of you use?
So it's all about culture here, and I make sure that the teachers are celebrated, the students are celebrated, the families are celebrated, even if it's for those small types of things. And when I am recruiting staff or attempting to retain staff, similar to your story, when I interview people, I bring up pictures of things because I'm taking pictures of everything and videos and things like that. And I show people what it's like from September through June to be in our school. I'll pull out yearbooks. This is a snapshot of what you're being involved in. I also show people our calendar, my newsletter, and I'm not showing them everything, of course, but I show them what it's like to be at Indian Queen. I also, when I do, since we're into these Zoom videos or interviews and things now, I also invite individuals in, and I invite them in when students are here, and I determine how the students are going to respond, and I use that as a strategic strategy. I want you to come in for a school visit. That's what I call it. And we walk around and I watch how they interact with staff and how they interact with the students. And that tells me a lot about if that person is going to be able to fit into our school culture. And if you get someone that's can fit into your school culture, the pedagogy and everything else will come. But if they're not a part of that school culture, then it's going to be very difficult for people to fit into the culture, and then it's going to be difficult after that to retain them, to keep them in the a part of your culture. So I say the biggest strategy I use to retain people is during the hiring process. I have them here during the school day and seeing how they interact with the culture around that they would be a part of.
I think to kudos to what Dr. McCall is saying, I think the first piece to retention is making sure that you hire the right people. And I think that, just being fully transparent, you get the best of an individual in an interview, right? So, but putting them through exercises where they come and visit your building, and meet with students and staff is something that I picked up as I've grown my capacity as it relates to tenure in the principal seat. Those type of exercises give you an opportunity to really see who's who. And another strategy that I use is that I often take lead teachers on the perceived grade level team that I think that they're going to join. I give them an opportunity to talk in my office absent of me, to give them an opportunity for the teachers to get a feel of who's joining their team, and then taking that input and using that shared decision making model to move forward. I think principal check-ins are really important in an open door policy, and I think another thing is finding opportunities to highlight your staff's strongest abilities as they relate to instruction to the entire staff during staff meetings. Maybe it's an emailed video or maybe it's a strategy because that augments a level of job satisfaction, providing individuals with opportunities to showcase their talents to the other talented individuals that make up your staff. And I think it's about personalized notes and feedback about their instructional practice, but sometimes deeper than that, the relationships that they're making with children. Because I think everybody has that gift and everybody does it differently. So then how do you in the sea of 30 to 40 staff members that you have, see individuals for who they are and speak specifically to their talents versus that of your overall staff. When people feel that they're seen, I think that that makes a big difference in their ability to stay at the end of the year. When often at this current juncture in education, they can go anywhere they like. So how do you make sure that the place that they like the most is yours?
So true.
I think both of you said some key things there. So, out of the things you both listed for your schools individually, which one do you think gave you the most measurable impact as far as teacher, what you believe is successful teacher retention? Like you could really speak to it in volumes.
I would say the school visits, just having the individuals in, and I can tell because usually what a part of that strategy is that, and I think David said it, is I leave them with certain people's like, oh, stay right here, I'll be right back, and then that right back is a half an hour later. I remember one person that I hired, I did really forget that she was here, and she she ended up being here for like 4 hours in the classroom and with some and I didn't mean for her to stay that long, but she did. And I remember one of the kids coming out of the room and saying, so Miss, I'm not gonna say her name, but Miss so and so is our new teacher, and she told us for next year, he went on and told me. I was like, oh, wait a minute, she already hired herself because I hadn't offered that. But we still talk about that to this day, is having her to stay in the classroom and stay around the kids, and the kids will come out and tell you what you need to know. So I think the biggest bang for my buck is to get the teacher, the staff, or the prospective person into the school, and not during those after school hours. And I find that if people aren't willing to use leave to come in during the school day, or they try to force you into an after school or before school type of situation, then that tells you things, as well. It's like, oh, if you want to be a part of this, then you will have to be uncomfortable for a minute. So it may be that you have to use a half a day of leave, or something like that. So I just look for little quote unquote test, just to see the how that person is really going to fit in into the culture of the school.
I think she took the best. Dr. McCall took the best two that I probably had, but I guess the two that I would add to kind of support retention is as a part of my principal check-ins, and maybe this may have potentially came from the strength finders trainings that I've been at. I'm intentional about asking them about what their aspirations are, and then finding a way within the school building to support that. Whether it's, hey, I want to become a math resource teacher. I want to become a reading coach. So then how do I provide that staff member with an opportunity to coach, to observe classrooms, to walk in what their purpose is and what they aspire to be, so that while they service our children and push them forward, they also prepare their toolkit for what they perceive to be their next step. And you'll find that a couple hours, a substitute half day, is really all you need to provide teachers with the opportunity to determine what their next step may be. And I think that teachers never forget how supportive you are. And I think that a lot of times that makes all of the difference in the world, because uncertainty of transitioning to a new school can be a lot with all of the other challenges that we have in our personal lives. So being supportive and allowing them to lead from where they are, regardless of the place that they may be in the building, is really important. And then being able to speak about that succession. I would credit my principal way back in the early 2000s when I started as an educator as probably being a predominant reason as to why I'm a principal now. And I think about the opportunities that I was afforded. And I'll never forget those. So if I can create those opportunities for other individuals, it will make them speak volumes about our school. And most importantly, it will make them want to stay with us with all of the things that we may have going on.
Mhm.
I like what you said there. I think it reminded me of when I start out when you say providing opportunities and knowing who they are. Um, it is kind of like saying, okay, I see that you one day you want to be in administration. Sounds great. We need another person to do this. We need another person to do that. And so, really, how you grasp that task tells me the type of person you are and how you're going to build some type of camaraderie with the team we already have established here.
Mhm. And all of us together combined have a lot of experience in education. But what's critical is, how do we connect with those teachers that are just coming out of college? How do you support those early career teachers to ensure their success and longevity in the profession? Because they're coming out and need a lot of support as well. So how do each of you do that with your early career teachers?
So as I said, I let them find their own niche first. And so I let them do that the first couple of weeks. And then I observe and notice who they're gravitating towards. I start learning their personalities and what are their strengths and what are their weaknesses. And then I capitalize on those resources that I see that they may need, and tier those towards people who type of work. So it could be more than one person. I know that some people come in and they say, this is the mentor. We have our mentoring group after school on Thursdays or whatever. I don't necessarily do it that way. I let them find the time, and it could be on Saturday at Starbucks, or it could be after school in the library. So I let them find that time and space to develop what it is needs to be developed for that novice teacher. And it's also important, I think, not to necessarily say it's the more seasoned teacher who should be assisting that novice teacher. Right now, I have a novice teacher supporting another novice teacher. So, they're both first year teachers, but I had that relationship started to gel because they had that in common. And now one of them is struggling and the other one is not, so she's lending her support, and I think the support is better for her, or more received from her, because it's her contemporary that she's receiving it from, and it's not me as the principal, or this person who's been identified as the one of the leaders in the building, or this person that's been teaching for 20 years. It's more of her contemporary that she's seeking assistance and advice from. So in a nutshell, that's what I watch, how the relationships develop that first couple of weeks, and see what supports and things the novice teacher needs. And like David said, I asked them, what is it that you aspire to do? And if they say, I aspire to be a reading specialist, or if they say I aspire to be an actor, then my approach to them is going to be a little different based on the feedback that they give to me.
I think the biggest thing is small, actionable but clear next steps, right? So often new teachers are ready to change the world, and you have to embrace that. But understand that there is the little incremental steps that we take each day towards greatness that creates the change that they aspire to create. So it's about really taking your time, not overloading it with too many next steps, but understanding that if this is what's on the big board for you to achieve, let's take it 2 steps at a time. Being slow and steady with their progress, and then really and truly monitoring burnout, right? Because a new teacher often has a lot to prove, and for whatever reason, a lot of times we believe that not using leave proves more than anything else. Making sure that they're rested and ensuring them that it's okay to take leave. And I think the biggest thing is regular classroom visits. Sometimes with the computer, sometimes just to stand at the door, and then sometimes just to co-teach for a little bit, so that they feel that support. And then I think it's also about varying your feedback. Everything doesn't have to be an informal, and everything doesn't have to be a formal. It can be what I like on a post-it note on your desk. It could be, hey, I stopped by, you weren't here, I'll come to visit you um next period, right? But making sure that they feel that you're visible, because as you all know, at any given moment, the principal's seat will take you in a different direction. And once you're gone for a couple hours and sometimes a couple days. So making sure that when you do have that time that you stop by to check in and say, hey, how you doing? Checking in with them about the resources that they may need on an ongoing basis, and making sure that they feel supported. And I think the biggest thing is, who is your representative within the building? So in those times when there's principal meetings and deadlines and all those other things happening, how are we ensuring that that teacher is still supported? And making sure, and I think a bigger thing for especially new teachers is being very cognizant of the grade level of the team that you place around them, because they can truly curate and elevate a teacher spirit, but they can wear it down too. So kind of borrowing from data wise, if you will, being reflective on the building a strong collaborative team is what's really important to making sure that they're successful, because those are the people that they'll see at every classroom switch. Those are the lunches that they eat together. Those are the recesses that they spend outside monitoring. And those are those informal opportunities where a lot of feedback and greatness can really be developed.
Mhm. So do each of you offer a mentorship or coaching program for your new or struggling teachers?
So yes, I do, because the school system has that teacher leader program. So one of my teacher leaders did go through the training for that. And so having the training, she does have monthly meetings with teachers that are new. The thing with that is I don't often have new teachers. So then it could be a meeting, like next year, it will be a meeting of one, no, a meeting of two. So sometimes that can be a little bit mundane, because the smaller the meeting, if you're asking questions, or depends on what the topic is, it's like it's just two people, and it sometimes I think it's better when it's a larger group. I'm not saying 10 people, but at least 5 people, so the conversations and sharing of the work and things can continue. But we do have a situation where our instructional lead teacher meets with 3 teachers on a monthly basis. But what that program does is it's a focus for each time that they meet. So it could be a part of like domain 1, let's talk about designing coherent instruction, or it could be about domain 3, let's talk about questioning strategies. And then their homework would be, let's work on those questioning strategies, and then share it with me as well. Then when I do informal observations and things like that, I can follow up on it, but not in a punitive type of way. Just to offer some, an additional resource, or I could use that data and say, oh, go to this classroom for 10 minutes and observe the way that teacher uses questioning and discussion, is, if it's with multilingual learners or with students with disabilities, or to elevate her questions so it's not only the surface or right there questions. And I find that to be very beneficial. So they'll have the meeting, and the meeting may be 30 minutes, but it's the follow-up to the meeting is still ongoing. It may not be in that sit and get time frame for that Thursday afternoon from 3 to 3:30, but they have things to do. So the next month, let's discuss what you learned during this month and give them the, one or two things to focus on for that month, instead of sitting in the meeting. This is what questioning and discussion is. Okay, bye. It's what is the get out and do to follow up to what is actually questioning and discussion, if that happens to be the topic.
Mhm.
So I guess as I continue to kind of learn the principal seat, if you will, I think I moved at one point. The structure for the mentor program was very structured, with a monthly meeting and things of an ongoing schedule in groups. And I found that giving the perception of it being less structured has been a little bit more impactful. So I'll meet with my mentor teachers, if you will, behind the closed doors, to kind of check in on where they are in terms of meeting with the teacher, supporting the teacher, and then letting that kind of blossom into itself with regular check-ins, because I think the reality is schedules don't always mesh. And then sometimes, especially if you have a large group of incoming staff, people are in different places. You have new staff that may have already been a seasoned teacher. You have new staff that are brand new to education. So I think it's about partnering them with a peer that is close to their skill set and their ability is really important. And then allowing that to be the talented tenth that resided within your school, and giving them the autonomy to make it fruitful, and then leveraging the presence of a check-in through a Google form that I'll send to both parties separately to just determine, does this work for you? Is there something else you need to provide that extra layer of support, so that people get what they need when they're ready to receive it, versus the very structured 8 weeks at 2:15 right after dismissal on a Wednesday, when sometimes fatigue is a reality. So how do we structure this so that it seems as though it is really at their leisure, but behind the scenes it is still set up in a fashion to deliver the results necessary, teachers to grow, feel supported, and to return to Hillcrest Heights year after year.
And isn't that what we ask for as colleagues? Differentiation. Differentiation is key, especially
Exactly.
when you have a wide range of abilities and skills on your staff. So that's a great idea.
Yeah. Mhm.
Okay, so getting close to the last question, and Dr. McCall, I have seen you communicate. some of the positive school culture you do there at Indian Queen and build teacher morale. So just talk to me, talk to our guests and everybody who's watching, maybe one or two things, and Mr. Brown, you as well, chime in afterwards. One or two things that you do that you believe fosters a positive school culture and really builds up teacher morale.
I think that would be that I'm very visible. And so they see me all day and they see me in the trenches. So I'll come into the classroom and sit on the floor in the carpet with the kids and go through the lesson and tell the kids, ask your teacher this or ask, and so make it a fun part of teaching for them and a fun part of learning for the children. And so I think that that's one of the things that they see. Here she comes, you never know if it's an informal observation, a formal observation, or just because I'm hiding. But I'm in the room with the teachers. I'm outside, I'm at recess, I'm at dismissal, I'm at lunch, so they just never know where I'm going to show up. And as David said, because there could be days where they don't see me at all because of the demands that we have placed on us. But the days that I am able to be out there, I'm out there. And the students know it and they don't miss a beat. And now and I've heard one teacher tell one of our new teachers this year, don't worry, she's going to come into your class all the time. And he said, but I'm going to be nervous and all that. But I don't see that anymore with any of the staff. Is because I'm in there. And as I started the conversation with at the beginning, it's a flat line. So it's not I'm up here and they're down here. We're both at the same level, regardless if it's, as I said, for positive things or, sometimes there has to be a negative situation that'll occur. But then we're able to move on from that. Is no grudges held, is no, oh, this is what's going to happen to you. I could do it, and then we can move on with life.
I think it's also important to provide colleagues with opportunities to recognize colleagues. Because I think as the principal, I have a very specific lens, right? But I think I'm also one person in a building that has multiple floors and multiple classrooms. And the reality is the people across the hall that are walking their kids to specials, that first grade teacher sees the magic in the third grade classroom. And that third grade teacher sees the magic in the fifth grade classroom, right? So one thing that we do here is we call it the golden baton because our colors are green and yellow. And at the beginning of every staff meeting, teachers who received the golden baton the previous month will share what they have observed over the course of a month special in another classroom or another educator within the building. And they speak to it out loud in front of everybody. And I think that creates an environment where I think it also allows everybody to be seen as uniquely themselves. And understanding that while we all have a passion for children and a desire to teach, we all show up differently, but our goal is to achieve a common purpose. So while I often encourage my assistant principal and our community schools coordinator, at least once a week, you need to write 3 positive notes to 3 people in the building. So with that, trickling it down so that I see you and the admin team sees you, but your colleagues see you as well. And being intentional about that type of work. And then as a part of the frequent Google forms that I send out, I also ask teachers to kind of recognize 3 people that you've seen doing something unique. And then the team will compile those Google forms and then share that information with the teacher directly via an email, because I think it matters. I think the same way that kids want to be seen and recognized and appreciated, adults do too. I just don't think that we're as confident and as brave as kids to say that that's what we desire. And I think that it matters. And if we can all encourage each other within this space. When the going gets tough, organically we will look out for each other. So the goal is from those types of behaviors, for like Dr. McCall said earlier, for a staff member to stop. Hey, do you need to go to the bathroom really quick? I'm gonna break. You looking like you look stressed out. You need to take a walk. Do you need a minute? Or more important than that, when they come and knock on the administrator's door and say, "Hey, I'm concerned about so and so," right? Because you can't be everywhere at every moment. But that's the expectation in the seat that we fulfill. So then, how do you empower others within your space to serve in the capacity that you do? And then when you do those things, the environment becomes far more nurturing, and then we can all find others' gifts and find a way to kind of leverage those for the name and the benefit of children. So I think that those are the important things that I've done later in my career, because initially as an early principal, everything I felt like had to come from me, and the feedback had to come directly from me and the admin team, the coaching, the praise, and all of that. But it's about everybody recognizing everyone, and finding ways to uplift everyone. Because on Monday we're tired, and on Friday we're often battling the fatigue as well. But during that week, how do we see each other and recognize each other so that the week doesn't seem as long? Because I think that's the key as well. And the little trinkets and memorials that we give to teachers on a regular basis can make it go as well. I very rarely announce whenever there's a luncheon. I'll just walk down the hall, the assistant principal, and we'll just knock on the door and say, "Hey, come out in the hall." We're like, "Oh my God, there's food," or "This is a bottle of water," or "It's a granola bar," or it's something catchy just to keep teachers moving. And I think that those are the things that say that we are appreciated. And I like to think that we do it in a unique way that recognize them, and that's what keeps them here.
That's awesome.
And at every staff meeting, we vote on staff member of the month. And the teachers vote, and I send out, even if you don't win as the staff member of the month, everybody that was nominated gets their nomination. And it'll say, although you didn't win, these are the things that were said about you during that month. And I do not tell them who said it. So there, I get the email back. Well, who said? Nope, I'm not going to tell you who said it, because I want you to know that there were individuals on staff who recognized you, and you don't need to know who it is, because there are people who, like David just said, who see you. And I'll also start off each meeting with birthdays for the month, and also with kudos for the month. So people stand up and say, "I want to give this person kudos because she let me have a bathroom break, or she covered my recess, or she picked up my kids from specials while I finished the IEP meeting, or helped me with career day," or whatever. And then just like David said, adults want to be recognized as well. And you should see, because I'm in front, so I can see the smiles and things on people's faces, or the bashfulness, as I guess you see on people's faces, because this is a very challenging job. It is totally different than it was 30 years ago when I started this journey. And a lot is being put on the teachers, and to be more than just teachers. And we have to find ways to encourage and uplift them, to keep them going, to keep them motivated, because if not, you will not be able to retain them, and they will find other things, because there are lots out there that people can do now. And so to keep them in the schoolhouse, we have to come up with the creative ways that we just say, "I see you, I acknowledge you, and I appreciate what you have to offer." Even if it's the smallest thing, what you have to offer is a contribution to our community.
And Hillcrest Heights Elementary and Indian Queen Elementary sound like an extremely positive experience for our teachers. So thank you both. And that wraps up today's episode of the Principal's Office. So a big thank you to you, Dr. McCall, and to Mr. Brown for sharing such valuable insights on teacher retention and important strategies that help educators thrive in our schools. Your perspectives on mentorship, professional development, and creating supportive environments are crucial to driving positive change. Thank you, as always, to our listeners for joining us today. If you enjoyed the conversation, please share this episode with fellow educators and leaders. Until next time, keep pushing the boundaries of education and supporting our teachers. We'll see you in the next episode of the Principal's Office. Thank you both.